welcome back from the break, back to the third part of today's show. So the debate once again is on capital punishment, and we have team arguably the best who are against it, and we have team Nitro who are going for capital punishment. So in the previous two rounds we've had the speech round where each contestant has given a short 1 to 2 minute speech, and we've had the actual debating round where both teams have managed to communicate with each other and debate with each other. But now we come to the hardest part of it all for the contestants, which is the judges rounds, where these three beasts over here will be truly grilling the contestants based on what they've heard and asking some really tough questions. So if I would recommend that you guys make sure you're prepared and you make sure you have, you know, some arguments to back up or respond to any of the questions that the judges give you. So judges, before we enter this part, can I just ask that we ensure that both sides receive equal amount of questions to make it fair? And yeah, so I suggest that we get straight into the judges round, and I'm gonna come firstly to Ahmed. Ahmed, do you have a question for any of the teams?
So I have a question for arguably the best. You mentioned the idea about capital punishment creating a vicious cycle, and what I was thinking is, do you not think that not having capital punishment also creates a vicious cycle where either criminals are out of prison and then creating the same sort of crimes, or the victims not receiving justification, where as Blaze mentioned, not having a belief in the system from not having the correct justice, also creating a vicious cycle?
Jason?
I think it's notable to mention that we believe that this vicious cycle is created when the family and friends of the criminal believe it to be an unjust case. When it comes to serious crimes such as murder or mass murder, or something which does fall into the contention of capital punishment, we believe that there is the alternative of life in prison, which we have stated previously as being a lot cheaper, a lot more effective, and something that would escape from this vicious cycle, as we've seen very many times the point that these people are going to come out and re-offend, but that's not going to be the case if they are to spend the rest of their time in general population or even in high security. And this isn't even a problem financially, as it is said to be cheaper. On top of that, we'd like to include the facts that in the last few years, in particular to death row and capital punishment, there has been a record number of people exonerated for the crimes that they did not commit, which was up to 149 people in 2015, which shows that in the coming years it's becoming more apparent that the justice system needs reforming, and that it cannot be reliant on someone's life and holding people to that. In the UK, the thing that I can hold that closest to is false rape allegations. Last year we had 109 women prosecuted for such offences. That can easily be repeated in the USA and in other countries where capital punishment is implemented, and even here, which shows that if after the time that it has been committed and has been given, the sentence has been given to the criminal, if it can't be taken back due to the life being taken, that vicious cycle will never escape, and you're likely to have riots like 2012 with Mark Duggan, etc.
Okay, Anish, I'm going to have to ask them to give them a question as well, but we'll come back to you shortly. Ahmed, does that satisfy you?
Yes.
I'm going to ask Swiber now, perhaps if you have a question for Team Nitro.
Yep, so there's a sociologist called Foucault who says that we now live in a society where there is so much self-surveillance. We know that we have so much CCTV around us, cameras everywhere. It's hard to keep the things that we do hidden. And sort of the threat of now being found out through these ways makes us monitor ourselves and our own behaviour. So I would argue that perhaps that is enough to deter people from the heinous crimes that they commit. So is capital punishment necessary nowadays?
Okay, so your argument that capital punishment provides a way for criminals to be scared off committing crimes, that's already fulfilled by modern surveillance systems such as CCTVs. They're already scared because they know that most of the stuff they do is being watched. So what is the need for capital punishment in that sense?
In modern time, I would argue against, and I would say no, it's not enough. CCTVs are not enough, because as you can see, there's still records and evidence being shown on TV, or at least newspapers, where a police officer had assaulted an individual. So if CCTVs were enough, where are the footage of individuals who have had their lives taken away because of the police? So this is where now capital punishment comes into place, because capital punishment is not just a one-day decision. It's made throughout a period of time, and this is the reason why it becomes expensive. But then, as you was talking about financial reasons, I still argue that it's still cheaper, because if you put someone on death row, they become psychologically damaged as well, and that's what you're forgetting, and that's where morality comes into place. Because why would you psychologically damage an individual where their emotions are also being affected, because they now have the fear of what's going to happen to them whilst they are in prison? What if they don't make it? So for example, if you talk about the UK, 25 years, let's say life sentence. What if they don't make it throughout the 25 years and they die in prison? Then what happens then? Whilst they couldn't just receive the punishment where they're being executed, because they know that, because the majority of the people, they know they deserve it, because they know what's going to happen if there's a death penalty, because they know if they do this, they're going to receive this punishment. So it's not as if an individual receives a death penalty, but someone else does the same crime and they don't receive the death penalty. Because if you establish the capital punishment, everyone will know the reason why they have received it. So it's going to be fair. So it's a law which suits everyone, and not just suits everyone, but it's applied to everyone. Whilst you see on the CCTV, they talk about CCTVs where a crime will be seen. So where is the crime where a police officer assaults an individual? Why are those CCTVs footage not being shown? But you can see the footage of where capital punishment trials are being established. You can see the O.J. Simpson on the internet now. Why can't you see the CCTV of police officers assaulting individuals? You talked about Miles Dagan. Yeah, you talked about him. So where's the footage from now till now? You don't see it. You just see a remake of it. But still, people are still arguing against it. They're still thinking, no, that's not correct.
Okay, thank you very much, but it's a truly powerful answer. So I will come back to the idea that even though there is surveillance, it may not reach enough areas, and in some cases it might even be censored from revealing the true footage. I'm going to ask just for one more question for each team. So I'm going to come to Mahmood.
I've got a question for you guys. It's very impressive so far. We've mentioned in economic points, we've mentioned moral points and ethical points, but politically speaking, let's say you're a government advisor for Saudi Arabia. How do you reconcile Islamic and religious beliefs with moral beliefs? So for example, in Saudi Arabia, most people would be for capital punishment. So how would you actually convince the government to get rid of capital punishment where most of the population is actually for the concept itself?
Told you this was not going to be easy. Mahmoud with a very, very difficult question there. So we have team arguably the best just discussing their response. And after that, I'm going to get the judges to just give one last question for Team Nitro, and then I think we'll come to the decision.
To that we answer that from our knowledge, Saudi Arabia follows Sharia law and is following Islamic principles that they believe to be right. While this may be hard to deter from, as it's been something that's been long-standing, this is something that we take upon ourselves as the newer generations, as the people that are looking to make a change in the world and actually have an impact, where a lot more has to be done to go against what we perceive as old traditions, something that can be changed. In that sense, we believe that countries such as France, where religion and law are not hand in hand, where they are free from each other, is something that should be promoted as well. Everyone should have the expression to follow religion and have the choice. If someone wishes to be tried in a court which has different principles, I believe that's the case, and I'm all for it. If the criminal says that they want to be tried under Sharia law or wants to be tried under a capital punishment system, they can have that, but the criminal should have the option to be tried under a system like the UK or like other Western countries, where it has been agreed under human rights conventions that it should not be conducted.
Okay, thank you very much, Jayshan.
It's very, very powerful.
Thank you, good. Now I'm going to need just one more question for Team Nitro, and then I think we're going to move on to the decisions very quickly. So does any judge have a question for Team Nitro?
Yep.
Swaiba?
Yeah. Arguably the best briefly mentioned that for some people their crime, the reason behind it can be mental illness. In that situation, what do you suggest? Imagine a mentally ill person murders someone. Is it not our responsibility to show some compassion and some understanding and attempt to help them, as opposed to take away any chance of them
So can I get a very brief response to that question of, if someone's mentally ill, maybe you can't fully blame them for the crime which took place because of their state. So would you still put them through the whole process of capital punishment. Can I just, if you have a response, can I just get a very brief one? Thank you.
As cool as some of you may say to me, I'll still say yes, capital punishment should still be applied, because those who are mentally disturbed, for example, that's the correct term of using it, not disability, mentally disabled, but mentally disturbed, because I would say that their primary carers, which are their mothers and fathers, they would support them. But then you would see that in capital punishment, they also look at your background, on how you was brought up. They look at other factors as well before making the decision, yes, you should receive the capital punishment. And this is why the trial takes so long. And this, you will see in most cases you will see that those who have been executed were not mentally disturbed, because they argue that if you're mentally disturbed, you have not done something which you had control over, which is why they will exclude you from that factor, which is why they will put you back to death row to continue your sentence.
Okay, thank you very much, Blaze, for that response. So I'm pretty sure Swiver's happy with that. So that brings an end to the judges' questions round, and now we finally come up to the main part of the show, the decisions from the judges. So what I'm going to ask the judges to do is to discuss between yourselves, and I want you to pick the winning team, obviously, and also the speaker of the show prize for one of the speakers. And now it doesn't have to be, it can be any one of the 6 contestants, they don't have to be from the winning team, but someone out of the 6 today will have won the speaker of the show prize, where the judges thought that they were the best speaker and had the best ideas all round together throughout the whole show. So judges, can I ask you very briefly to discuss and decide on who won that prize and who won the debate overall? It was a very, very lively debate we had here today on the topic of capital punishment, which, as we know, is very controversial, but we saw some very strong arguments coming from arguably the best who were against, and also some very, very strong arguments coming from Team Nitro, who are for. I must say I was pleased with both teams and I enjoyed watching today's debate. But now obviously we know I can't decide who wins, but we're going to head over to the judges and see what they think. So judges, are you ready? Are you ready? Yes. So I'm going to ask one of you guys to announce first the speaker of the show prize. So who's that going to be? Me. So Swiver, can you please announce who won the speaker of today's show prize?
So everyone spoke very, very well and confidently and clearly, and it was great. But speaker of the show, Blaze, I think.
Okay, so congratulations to Blaze. You did speak very well today. I found your speech very good today also. But I think everyone did very well altogether. But congratulations to Blaze for winning that prize. Now we come to the main part. Judges, can you tell me which team won today's debate? And who's going to say that?
Yeah, so both teams did very well, especially, Blaze and Intro in general. But we thought we'd go for arguably the best. And that's because how prepared you guys were. I mean, I asked for statistics, but kind of threw too many at me, to be honest. It was very, very good, so well done.
So congratulations to Team Arguably the Best. You guys are today's debate show winners. Well done to you. Congratulations to Arguably the Best. Commiserations to Team Nitro. I mean, everyone done really well today. I enjoyed watching today's debate. There were some very good arguments. I think Ahmed can't handle the decision which has been given. He's crying, in fact. But anyway, a huge thanks to the judges for all their hard work, and even bigger thanks to today's contestants for making it here, being brave enough and confident enough to step onto the stage and really try and prove your point. So that's it from me and everyone else here today on Perspective. We have a few more episodes coming up for you, so make sure you don't miss those. But for this episode, it's all over, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you and goodbye.